I grew up in a world of abundance, and for me that abundance was food. There was food for days and days and days, and I ate all of it. I went through a period of not being okay with that, after pretending to be okay with that for 39 years. And then went on this running journey where I've lost now half my weight. I've lost 70 kilograms. And I always thought I was a fat guy turning up to do fitness things, and it took me a long time to realise I'm now a 50-year-old athlete.
Hey guys, welcome to a brand new season of the Roundtable for 2026. Today I'm joined by a special guest, Adam Leishman, who shared insights about his own personal struggles, but also how he was able to overcome it. Look, I don't want to give away too much, as it was such an honor to have him share insights about his own personal battles, which could possibly be something that someone who may be struggling with their own challenges could learn from. So, without further ado, you know the drill. Let's get to it. We are back again in 2026 with a brand new episode of the Roundtable, and today I'm so honored to be joined by Adam Leishman, which we'll go into detail later on, as I would love for him to share all the ups and downs of what he's gone through throughout his life. So before we kick off, as always, the Roundtable symbolizes a safe space where stories are shared, voices heard, and lessons learnt. So pull up a seat, grab your favorite coffee, tea, water, whatever it is, and kick back and relax, because every story shared here matters. Adam, welcome to the Roundtable.
Thank you for having me today. This is a lovely spot. This is a lovely table. I'm glad to be... I've seen the table on the videos, so it's nice to be sitting actually in front of it in person.
And I'm honored to also have you drive all the way up here to catch up in this lovely piece of hidden gem on the Sunshine Coast, which is the Warwick Daniels Lake View.
I think you've nailed it.
Okay, so before we kind of dive into it, just for the listeners and the viewers that may not know who you are, do you mind just sharing a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, sure. I am 50. I turned 50 this year, and I start with that because that defined my year, turning 50. So I'm a 50-year-old, and this took me a long time to say this, but I'm a 50-year-old athlete. And you can see that I spent some time even getting that word out, because I think I was an athlete for a lot longer than I wanted to be. And I say athlete because I had to look up what the word was, and that's just anyone in the pursuit of physical performance. So I'm an athlete now. I call myself that, not at all by profession, just by hobby.
Congrats.
And then outside of that, I run small businesses. I always have. I had a trades and services business for 23 years. I sold that, and now I have a commercial real estate business, and it keeps me busy, keeps me entertained. So I do serious things during the day, and when I get up early in the morning and I do athlete things, and
when you say athlete things,
running, just running. I grew up I grew up in a world of abundance, and for me that abundance was food. Food was never an issue in our household. In fact, there was food for days and days and days, and I ate all of it. And so I spent my, up until I was 39, I was a large guy. And as the medical report, when I got my first medical done for life insurance, the words morbidly obese were written on there. So I went through a period of not being okay with that, after pretending to be okay with that for 39 years. And then went on this running journey where I've lost now half my weight. I've lost 70 kilograms. And to now call myself... We just before we hit record, we talked about a bit about imposter syndrome. And I always thought I was... a fat guy turning up to do fitness things, and it took me a long time to realise I'm now a 50-year-old athlete, and that's who I identify as.
So, just to circle back to when you were saying a fat person or a fat guy, what was the cause of that particular area in your life that you would put on so much weight,
I think,
other than abundance of
yeah,
food, as
look,
you
no,
mentioned?
no shortage of food in my households. I came from big eating family. They're still big eaters. Um, I think when, and they're small business owners. So I think what got them, what got my family, a larger family, and, and then I followed was I did all of the same stressful things they did with a fridge full of food. Um, uh, so, and that typical family celebration stuff, they love the big Christmas, lunches and stuff like that, and the weekends and the fried rice. So it wasn't even that we loved food, we loved all the wrong food. I still to this day, if I drive past a bakery, I just go, oh, I wonder if they've got mock cream donuts. I just food was a big part of our life, and so it was just it was just a big part of our life, and the consequence was I was a big guy for it.
So, what was the turning point for you then to make that
look,
change?
not one single thing, but I think it was in a period of my life. I was 39. I had a couple of kids. I think the second child had been born, for not too long. And I went, oh, well, I better do that smart adult thing and go get life insurance. So, because I figured I was unhealthy and, I wasn't going to, I was starting to figure I wasn't probably going to have a long life. And I've got young kids and, mortgages and stuff like that. So I went and got life insurance, and part of that process was to go get a medical done. And I failed the medical. And I failed the medical for a range of factors: resting heart rate, BMI, which is that body mass index, and that gave me the rating of morbidly obese. And in a world that gets offended by everything now, they don't even call it morbidly obese anymore. They call it obese, is where it tops out at. The other thing you'll notice is I use the word fat freely, and I know that can offend a lot of people. I use it because I was fat, so I'm not calling anyone fat. I was fat. And so that's how I identified. And I had to identify with those things to make it real. Otherwise, you hide from them. And so I think for about 6 months, the morbidly obese thing sat in my head, and just I can't even get life insurance to look after my kids because of my weight. So a friend of mine talked me into CrossFit. So we started CrossFit, and CrossFit's one of those great communities, because if you're lifting 200 kilograms over your head and I'm lifting 50, we're doing the same thing. We're standing in the box, we're doing the same movements, it's fine. You're back lifting 170, I'm back lifting 17. Doesn't matter, we're doing the same thing.
Cheering each other on.
The 200-meter run warm-up at the start, I couldn't do. So all of a sudden we weren't doing the same thing, because I couldn't even do the warm-up in the run without walking and stopping. And I went, I got to work on this running stuff. So I started running with a good friend, Michelle, at the time. We were doing down at the waterfront at Redcliffe. We were doing 100 metres run, 100 metres walk, 200 metres run, 200 metres walk, until it built up. And then I think she was doing one of those pink fun run triathlons, pink tries, whatever they were. Still are probably. And I went along to do the 5K fun run there while she was doing that. And that was the first time was able to put 5Ks together in it without walking. And that just sort of started to kick off this whole, I just kept falling into this. I got to be better.
So how big were you at that time? Were you still reasonably?
Yeah, that was in the March. So I started with this run walk stuff in a January. I think within 7 months I lost 40 kilograms, and then it took me a couple of more years to get that the next 30 down. So the 40 fell off fast, and then the next 10, it just started slowing down.
Okay, when you say years, like when did it all originally start? What year was it at the time?
I was 39, so 11 years ago. So, yep. And so I lost most of it, in that first year, and then, just it was over the next few years as I mucked around with different things. It wasn't just taking carbs out and portion control, and and then I love intermittent fasting, so I'm big on intermittent fasting, and that really dialed it in the last
Just for say some of the viewers that may not know what intermittent fasting is. Can you kind of just...
For most people, it's creating eating windows. So for a lot of people, their eating window might open at lunchtime, close after dinner, and that's the only time in a day they eat. So from bedtime through to lunchtime, no food. Mine's a little different. It's a bit more radical, but it works for me. And I only have sort of a dinner. I eat between sort of 4 and 7 at p.m., and that's about the only time I eat.
So once a day?
Yeah, once a day. So, yep.
Okay.
And that works for me. So, I'm one of those guys, when you have a big lunch, you're just like, oh, afterwards. I don't have that anymore.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so it's not for everyone, but it works very well for me. It's treated me very well. So.
Okay, so over the years you got better at it. You did what you needed to do. Where do you feel like you're at right now in this point?
With or without with my injury, I've had a year where
Actually, can you kind of walk us through that injury?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's probably better if I start at the start of the year. And the start of the year was I knew I was turning 50 in April. And I think in my head I'd convinced myself that if I don't do some things before I was 50, I become old instantly. And I won't be able to do peak fitness beyond 50. And I think I was so caught up in that I just went, I got a run coach, and I wanted to chase a goal that was park runs 5Ks, and I wanted to get under 20 minutes at park run. And I just had it in my head that if I don't get that done before 50, it will become much harder for me to do, or impossible. And so we dug into the training. And a week before I turned 50, the Saturday before I turned 50, I got my first sub 20 time. I think it was 1940, something like that.
Congrats, mate.
And then I went, and for the next 5 weeks in a row at Parkrun, I went and did I brought it down to about 1920 because it was like a gateway drug for me. So, and then on top of that, because the training was so
intense,
we were able to, and we were chasing other things. And by the time that was happening, Sydney Marathon got announced as a major, so it's the 7th world major in the world. So there was six for a long time. There's now 7, Sydney being one of them. I thought, it's in my backyard. I've got to do a world major. So along the way, I PB'd the 10K distance. So for me, that was getting it under 40 minutes. So I did a 39:40. I did a half marathon PB at 88 minutes. So I wanted to get under that, an hour and a half. So got an 88 minutes on that one. And it was going really well. And we were on our way to Sydney. And so I hadn't done a marathon for a couple of years, because the last time I did a marathon, I've only ever done 2. And the first one I hated. That's a strong word, and I don't use the word hate a lot, but you can use it for your own things. I hated it. It was hurt. It hurt. It was a long time. There was pain. There was tears. There was resentment, regret. It's a long distance. And I say that being a runner of all the other distances, and marathons are just not fun. And so my first year I did it 3 hours 45, and I hated it that much that I thought I better go back the next year and try it again. And I'm going to go slower, and I'm going to try and enjoy it. Still hated it. 3 hours 50, second time. There was so the data was clear for me. I'm not a marathoner. It's not my distance. I do not like it. I'm never doing it again. Sydney Marathon gets announced as a world major. I'm doing one again. The training was going well, and we started thinking I was going to Sydney to do a PB. Based on all my other times, the predictors were suggesting I on a bad day, I was probably going to run 3 hours 15. On a good day, I may have gotten near that 3 hour, possibly sub 3 hour. Everything was coming together for me that year. It wasn't outside of possibility that I could have done a sub 3 hour. Everything would have had to go on well. And so we kicked off, and even for the first 5 kilometres, I was looking at my race predictor, and it was saying 2:56, and it was going well. And then all of a sudden, the hamstring on my left started cramping up. Not cramping up, but tightening up, and I could feel it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be tough. And I watched, it settled into like 3 hours 4 prediction and stuff like that. And I think by the time I passed 10K, I was like, oh, this is going to be real tough to hold this. By the time I sort of hit 15Ks, or I think it was 18Ks, I was like, I'm going to be more like 3:15. We'd sailed from plan A to plan B to plan C, and I think by the time I crossed the half marathon distance, I was like, I need a new alphabet. I'm out of plans. And at 27.8 kilometres, I stepped off the course. I was still in front of the 3 hour 15 balloon at the time, the pacer. And it took me a couple of kilometres in my head to come to that decision, because it's not easy to, I've never, they call it did not finish, DNF. I'd never done that before. And so, I've just gone through, 6 months of training. I've flown to Sydney. Here I am, and I'm 20 something kilometres into this race that's been, part of everything I've been working on. And here I am in my head going, can I just step off the course? And I'm like, how does that feel? And so I decided that was the best thing for me to do. And I stepped off the course, and I think for a grown man that probably hasn't cried in, decades, I think decades of tears just came out, and I was just like, I don't even know. That's, people walking by, you're right. And I'm like, yeah, I think so. And I'm a guy that's about quotes. I love quotes. And sometimes you have quotes in your head. You hear a quote and you're like, that doesn't... Some quotes resonate, some don't. This one, I put in a mental shelf in my head. And instantly as I walked off that course, that quote was there. Because you remember, I don't do marathons. I was doing this one and I just failed, and I've just stepped off the course, and marathons aren't for me. And the quote is... you haven't come this far just to have only come this far. And I knew instantly that I'd be back. So I stepped off the course, I cried, and knew I'd be back. And that was in August, end of August. And I haven't been able to take a running step since that didn't hurt. So we're on a long recovery. So we're working through that at the moment.
Okay.
It's probably a good time for me to mention I do a little bit of a run streak.
Yes.
So, what's causing a problem with the recovery is that
well, for the viewers and that, what is the run streak?
Yes. So, back when I started this, couldn't run 200 meters in the CrossFit warm up. Thought I'd focus on running. Started with that 100 on, 100 off. In the March of this year, I started running. I put together my first 5K unbroken. By somewhere in the May, and I don't know what prompted it, but I went for a morning run, and I have this run that went around the block at home, and it was 3Ks. And I did that morning run, and I went, I should probably do that. I'm going to do that each day for the rest of the week. I'll do that. I'll get to the end of the week, and I'll do that. So I ran every morning for the end of the week. And it was somewhere in the middle of the month. So when I'd done that, I went, oh, well, why don't I just do it to the end of the next week? And then I'll just do it to the end of the month. That was 4,248 days ago, and I haven't missed a day. So I've got up and gone for a run every day for almost 12 years, 11 and a half years. So when I'm now faced for the first time with a an injury that needs rest. It's a hamstring tendinopathy injury, so it needs some rest, and I'm not giving it to it. So it's going to be a long journey, this recovery. So I've been running, and so I did the block was 3Ks, and it was always, once I got that, that used to take me a long time, and so as I got better, I increased the distance. So it wasn't too long that I made my minimum distance 5Ks in the morning, and I ran 5Ks for a long time in the mornings, and then I made it 10, and then that lasted not long, and I went, oh, that's a bit far, so I made it 8. And so it's been 8 kilometres now, I think, for 5 or 6 years. So every day I do a minimum of 8 kilometres. I mean, sometimes more. Before the injury, I was doing a lot more. Sometimes 90, 100 kilometre weeks. I got a 110 kilometre week in there once. But as a base now, I'm just doing my 56 kilometres a week, and here we are.
I feel tired just you mentioning how many Ks you run. And going back to the running streak, that's you fully clothed.
Yeah. It's a streak as in strung together. Not tired. Can I tell you, I've got more energy as a 50-year-old that's done 24,000 kilometres now, or something like that. I've got more energy as a 50-year-old sitting here today than I did on a restful, sleepful 39-year-old that before I started this journey. That's for sure. So gives you a lot of energy.
Oh man, that's awesome. And you actually also run your own little podcast too, as well.
I did. So when I turned 49, I like to set myself little goals each year. For my birthday, I'm not a New Year's resolution guy. I don't know why. I think
no,
it's...
me too.
I don't know if it's the cliche or it's a setup for failure or whatever. But I like to do something as my birthday approaches. What would I like Adam to do, in his, version 4.9? And so for 49, I had this idea that I wanted to learn about podcasting. And sometimes I think the best way to learn... I'm a learn by doing type of guy. So I wanted to do a podcast where I got to talk to other people, and I called it Connecting the Dots. And it was me connecting the dots with other people in life and just asking them about what makes them tick, what makes them... in my eyes, what makes them great. A lot of people think what they're doing is just them doing ordinary stuff, but to somebody else it's actually quite impressive and great. So I just wanted to ask people about them. And so there's 52 weeks in a year. I think I did 48 of them, and as I got closer to turning 50 and I had all of this training going on, I just stopped. And that's all right. I may come back to it. I haven't decided yet. It's one of those things, when I decide I'm going to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I haven't quite decided that.
Yeah.
Because it's not many people would appreciate that. It's a lot of work.
I know, and just I had like reaching out to you a week or two beforehand, and I was thinking, oh man, it's time to get back on the wagon and get to it. But it is rewarding, and it's exactly like what you said. So I'll actually even because it was something you mentioned to me when you sent me a message, was why do I do it? Hey guys, thanks again for tuning back in. And if you're finding value in today's show, then please hit that like button, subscribe, and share with someone you know who could possibly learn from what they've heard today. And so without further ado, let's get back to it. And the reason why I do it was because as a Polynesian, we didn't understand the impact and the effect of mental health. For us, we understood it to be like a mental institute. All the crazy people are in there, and that's as far as it goes. Little did I know how much it actually meant mental health with your own thoughts and what you're dealing with and the struggles. And to see a friend of mine who also experienced being hospitalized, then I realized, I wanted to get a better understanding. So during that time, I was actually on my own self-development journey, and I wanted to kind of explore other areas with mental health. So I found out about the men's groups. I jumped online. The first one I attended was Complete Men down on the Gold Coast. I attended it, just to get a better understanding what happens in the place, where all these blokes come together and kind of just get a few things off their chest and that. And then I attended another one, Marcus Missions, which is two different completely, I suppose, different styles of the way they ran things. And that kind of gave me a different point of view of the different ways how men can come together and then find a safe space where they can kind of share what's going on without being judged and all that. And then I remember thinking to myself, man, this is awesome that I got to discover this, but what if there's some other bloke at home who's probably wanting a place like this, but he doesn't know how to get to it, doesn't know it exists. And then I decided one day, I'm going to start up a podcast. And why? Was so I could kind of share the stories of these men who attend these different groups, and then hopefully raise awareness in the community to let the community know that these places do exist and you can attend them. I try and break down some of the stories with the guests that I've had in what some of the new members can expect to rock up to, because it's easy to come to the door, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're willing to step in straight away.
Yeah.
So if there were some steps for them to understand through the show what to expect, then the goal was to hopefully give them a better understanding of a safe space that they could go to. Hence the podcast was born.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah.
Can you imagine?
And I try to help out promote some of these local charities and organizations, and I do it for free. Like, I do these podcast shows in my spare time. Like on a weekend, I'll call them up and someone says, oh, but can we do it on a weekend? Because I'll have to drive down. So from the Goldie to Marion Vale, Sunshine Coast, which we are today too.
Yep.
And around my area in Bundaberg and Moore Park. So Gin. So I've done a few bit of traveling around back and forth. But I mean, it's rewarding to try and help get their message out and the stuff that they do and how they make a huge impact in the community.
Yep.
So yeah, that's where it all started for me.
Wouldn't it be nice if we get to a point in where we view mental health like physical health?
Mm-hmm.
We just, we understand that if we want to live longer, we need to do things at a physical health level, go to gym, exercise, stretch, and we just need to get to a point where we just need to do the same with mental health. We need to pause, gratitude, journal, without it being seen as something so different to physical health. We don't go through a period where we go, oh, that guy's weird, he goes to gym, but we still do. That guy weird, he's sitting over there with his journal, doing his journaling in the morning. And if we could make
Even
that as
meditation.
normal as going to gym, I think we'd. I think physical fitness makes us healthier and fitter, but mental health makes us happier.
Absolutely. And even like with meditation, I used to think that thing was like woo-woo, but yet I love to do these, spend 5-10 minutes just to close my eyes and use the guided meditation.
I use the analogy, and it only works for people our age, that back in the early days of PCs, you used to have a thing you'd call defrag on your hard drive, where it would go through a process of restacking it all. That's what meditation is. It's the defrag of the brain. It's just, pulling all of the things and putting them back down for a second while you just have a little moment, and then it'll just stack them back up nicely for you, and off you go into the world and try and unpack your problems for the day. Same with gratitude. Gratitude, it's exercise. What it is, it's training the brain to look for the good in the world, so that when you go out in the world, you've already done a couple of priming exercises, which is, how do I spend my day looking for the good in the world? Let's practice with 3 right now. And that's what gratitude is in the morning. Training your brain to look for the good.
Yeah, nice. Okay, well, I suppose for someone that's probably struggling right now, what would be 1 or 2 things that they could do right now? Say if they wanted to Either get into jogging, maybe lose weight. What would be one or two things they could kind of start off with?
Barriers is, I'll come back to barriers. I'll come back to the hardest 8 meters. But I'll probably start with, you've got to understand that you didn't become, wherever you are, it didn't happen instantly. So if it's about weight loss or unfit and stuff like that, you didn't just become overweight instantly. It took a while. There was a bunch of choices and habits that led you there. So the path out is the same. You can't make it happen real fast. You've got to walk backwards. You've got to step back out of the habits that put you there. It's our habits today that define who we are down the road. And so if it is that you want to lose weight or be fitter or faster or happier, it's about changing today's habits. And then it's that consistency. But there's also the little hacks about barriers and stuff like that. My running kit is set up for tomorrow. So when I get up in the morning, there's no, where are my shoes? Where's my watch? None of that. I got a run cupboard, which is to anyone else is a normal cupboard, but it's my run cupboard. But on one of the shelves is all my running stuff laid out, ready to go tomorrow. So one barrier gone. And that I do not go to bed at night time without that all set up, ready to go in the morning. Still 11 years later, I mean, I probably have all of the things that were friction in the early days, I still have the same in place, because why not? Why wouldn't I make the process to get up and run tomorrow morning the easiest it could ever be? And I think people don't start with that. They get up in the morning going, and they lay in bed going, If you'd already made the decision last night, there's no decision to be made in the morning laying in bed, because I guarantee you, laying in bed in the morning under the doonas with the air conditioning on in summer or the heater on in winter, you are not going to make the right decision. Don't make it then. Make it the night before. So have your shoes out, have whatever it is. Is it your gym stuff? Have your keys ready, everything, your gym bag all ready. So all you got to do is just get up in the morning. I mentioned the hardest 8 meters talked about the hardest 8 meters. The hardest 8 meters is the 8 meters between your bed and the front door. You just you get past that and you're away. I challenge you to get up tomorrow, do that 8 meters. I don't care what you do after that. It's probably not going to be turn around and walk back inside. Can if you want. I'll be happy that you just got up and walked to the front door, walked outside. And if that's what you do on day one, great. And maybe you want to set up the little game or stack the little consistencies that, it's 100 meters tomorrow, it's 200 meters the next day, whatever. Maybe it's 100 meters for the week and then 200 meters for the week, and just keep stacking it from there. That's what I'd tell people, is just start small, because the journey back from where you are is it's about that consistent choice.
Nice.
That would be where I'd tell you.
Okay. If there's maybe something else I haven't asked you about and you want to share, I'm more than happy to.
Look, probably, I think consistency is the cheat code of life. If you consistently do the habits that are the habits of the person you see in your mind that you want to be, you'll get there every day. I don't like using, there's some words I don't like using, because I think people can take offense to them. Fat's one of them. I'd hate to call anyone dumb, but I can tell you now that a dumb doer will beat a perfect planner every time. You can plan, you can be brilliant at planning, but if you don't take action, the dumb doer got you every time. Steve Wozniak, the other partner to the start of Apple, I went and saw him live in Brisbane when he came maybe about a decade ago, and one of his quotes really stuck with me. Success comes to those who take action. It's as simple as that. Just go do. I got tripped up for a long time in life about purpose. Like, everyone's got a purpose, everyone's got a North Star, everyone, the successful ones, they know what they're doing. They got this they could almost elevate a picture to you about what their mission in life is, and I think it bothered me for a long time that I don't have one of those. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my mission is. I don't know what my North Star. But I keep running into all these other people that do. You've even spoken about yours, about the podcast and why you do this. And somebody said to me, "Well, you're not going to figure it out sitting at home and doing nothing. So go do things." What? Doesn't matter. Just go do things. You'll figure it out. But in the meantime, you've done a bunch of things.
Yeah. And I suppose you just, because you're in it, you can't see it.
Yep. So I'm now okay with not knowing what my purpose is, because it's leads into one of those other quotes about, if you can't, see the path, just start walking the path, and it unfolds as you go. And I hope I'm on that journey. I believe I am. I'll figure it out. But not while I'm standing still. I won't. So you've just got to keep walking forward, and I have no doubt I'll figure out what my purpose is. And along the way, I've done a lot of things.
Cool. Adam, man, this has been pretty awesome. So I suppose before we kind of wrap up, maybe what's one or two pieces of advice you could give to someone who's probably sitting on the couch wondering what his next steps are?
People throw around the word discipline a lot, and I never knew what that meant. Probably still don't. There's probably a really good meaning for the word discipline that's technical and makes sense. For me, it was about the D at the start of it. It's the discipline means do it. Do it because you promised yourself you would. Do it because doing it leads you to where you want to be. Do it anyhow. Just do it. So I call discipline the do it word, because it's the one that matters long after the motivation. You might have motivation for the first week for a range of factors, because you're going to lose weight, getting married, gone through a bust up. It's always the yin and yang, isn't it? Getting married, got to lose weight. Just got busted up with that person, got to lose weight. For me, it was medical insurance, got to lose weight. Want to look good for the formal coming up, whatever the motivation is, that's there for a very short time. And so you've got to attach to it discipline. Discipline for me was just do it. Just got to do it.
Nice.
If you make a promise to yourself, you got to keep it. Discipline is I think it's the ultimate self-respect. If you've said to yourself, I want to be this person, I know that the things I've got to do are these things, and you don't do it, that's not respecting yourself. So, and no one matters more than you, I think. It's oxygen mask first stuff, isn't it? You got to look after you.
Yeah.
You can't look after your family, your kids, your parents, if you haven't put your oxygen mask on first. Could have it wrong. Then again, there's Jimmy Carr that gets it better. I think when Jimmy Carr asks, what's the purpose of life? Is enjoy the passage of time. It's simple and brilliant. And then when he talks about all this other stuff that we've talked about, he boils it down into a couple of words, which is prioritise later. Whatever you do today, it's at prioritising later. So that'd be the bits I would have people ponder. I love quotes. I love that there's a world full of people out there that are coaches and motivators, and they're all right. And what makes them different is how they say it. Everything that could be said has been said. There's no coach out there that's saying anything new. They're saying it differently. And the trick is, for people out there, is find the guy that resonates with you. Because if you're not hearing it, he's not right for you. What he's saying's right, but they're all saying the right thing. They're just saying it differently. So find the one that resonates for you. And I know that, we've got a couple of podcasts that are similar that we like. For a big chunk of the world right now, we're resonating with the Stephen Bartletts and the Chris Williamsons. They're resonating with us. They're saying the same thing. They're just saying it differently, and we're really hooked into that. There's probably 100 more podcasts that they're all saying the same message. They're just different, saying it differently, and it doesn't land with us at the moment. So find the guys that, it's I think it's Chris Williamson that says it. Find the others. Find the ones that are, on your frequency, and that'll help you, lead you forward.
And look, for anyone that wants to follow you, where can they find you?
I'm in Instagram called Run Streak Adam. It took me a long time to figure out that I'm a runner, and so I renamed. My Instagram used to be called Very Much Adam, because I think I'm a bit weird and quirky, and I'm okay with that. I always embraced that. And then when I figured out I'm a runner, I changed my handle to Run Streak Adam. So you can follow me on there, and I do, I used to post a lot, and then I got caught up in this whole training and injury thing, and I haven't posted a lot. It's hard to post positive messages when you're hurting, and so I'm in pain a bit at the moment. So I look forward to when the pain's calm down a little bit, and I can go back to just posting with that having that more happier mindset that I had, and posting, because you post from a happy place. I don't want to post negative stuff. That'd be real easy, but there's a whole 90% of the internet that's already looking after that for us.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that stuff. So yeah, I'm Instagram to follow.
Cool. What about your handle on YouTube?
I think it's just my name, Adam Leishman. So.
Cool. Well, I'll also then add those details in the description below. So, Adam, man, thanks for joining me at the round table.
It was nice chatting to you.